State legislators in Florida are proposing rent control. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting article for you today, and it's coming out of the state of Florida. So there's some state legislators there, and they are actually proposing rent control measures in Florida. And this is kind of surprising because Florida is known to be a very landlord-friendly place. Okay, it's not considered to be a place, that's very, progressive, left-leaning, and tenant-friendly. So, a lot of people I know invest in the state of Florida, and it's kind of crazy to me to think that, hey, man, there are people there who are pushing for, rent controls and price controls over rental properties. I mean, I've told you before, you see this up in, these big cities, and eventually it does find its way down to the much more landlord friendly places. I'll eventually see probably some proposals like this here in the Midwest. And especially after the pandemic, with all the things they did with the eviction moratoriums, I'm not doubting for 1 second that, hey, this could be here pretty soon. Now, before I get into the article, though, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below, and let me know if you have seen any sort of rent control proposal, if especially if you are outside of the coastal, big city areas, okay? I'm just kind of curious if, this is something that just, is slowly spreading throughout the country, or, if we don't have anything to worry about just yet. Now, this article is coming from Fox35Orlando.com, and it says, Lawmakers send letter asking governor to declare rent hikes an emergency. Yeah, rental real estate prices have gone up all over the country, okay? And especially in a place like Florida. And we all know why. People are moving to Florida in huge numbers. They're vacating, New York and all the Northeast and all that. They want to get away from taxes. They want to get away from regulation. They want to get into a much more business-friendly environment. They want to get into better weather, and they want to get more personal freedoms as well. Florida has a lot more personal freedoms. When I heard that they were putting all these regulations on people saying, oh, well, in New York City, you got to have proof of your vaccination status just to get into a restaurant. I mean, that's completely ridiculous. But down in Florida, they put into law basically saying that vaccine passports were banned. And hey, guess what? That's why people are moving to Florida from New York, because they don't want to put up with that junk. Okay? So let's get into this article and see what it says. Orange County officials recently broke ground on this affordable housing community. State lawmakers say projects like these are a step in the right direction, but lots more needs to be done. A letter from Florida Representative Carlos Guillermo Smith and other legislators is calling on Governor Ron DeSantis to declare an affordable housing emergency in the state. We in our office are hearing from constituents who are facing 10, 20, even up to 30% rent hikes that they simply can't absorb, Smith said. The media cites media reports showing that Central Florida rents have increased 20% since January overall. It also references how the state has cut more than $2.3 billion from its affordable housing trust fund since 2001. That money would have gone to building more affordable homes. It wouldn't have mattered if the state didn't cut that money from its trust fund, okay? Simply put, the reason that prices are going up in Florida is because Florida is so popular. Florida was popular before the pandemic, okay? One of the fastest growing states with the most people who want to move in. Hell, I want to move to Florida eventually, okay? That is where I want to retire at. But the truth of the matter is that when you have a popular place like Florida, prices are going to go up as more and more people move in. So Central Florida obviously is one of the more affordable areas. Southern Florida down there near Miami and Fort Lauderdale is known to be much more expensive than, Central Florida, kind of Orlando area. Over in Tampa is known to be less expensive, and Jacksonville is, much less expensive. But, obviously these are great places for people to move who are trying to escape the winters like me, or if you're trying to escape, state income tax, because Florida doesn't have a state income tax. It's a great place. Okay, I've spent a great deal of time there, months and months on end for work. I've visited there personally for vacation many times. And like I said, I want to retire there. Okay, so it doesn't surprise me one bit that prices are going up. I just hope I can get in before, I don't want the place to become like California, but I could see the prices shooting up like California. As long as they still have that business friendly mentality, though, and they allow the developers to keep building, in order to fill all this new population, I don't think it'll be such a big problem. The part of Florida I want to move to is the Jacksonville area. So I like Jacksonville a lot, right? And so, it's obviously one of the least expensive areas in the state. And I know that I should be able to find affordable housing there, but prices could still increase. I tell everybody, I used to live in Arizona. In Arizona, when I lived there I moved there in 2011, and I lived there until 2015. But when I moved there, Arizona was extremely affordable. But now, because of all of the people who have left California and, obviously the huge amount of demand out there in Arizona, prices have skyrocketed, okay? In Arizona, Phoenix in particular is not nearly as affordable as it used to be. But it's still within range. But, if you compare it to just, 10 years ago, it's not nearly as affordable as it used to be. So the same thing is happening in Florida right now. So you have these places, they're located outside of the main population hubs, and they're getting this huge inflow of population, and yes, prices are going to rise, but that's not necessarily the fault of them not building enough affordable housing. Okay, therefore, Smith said, we're sitting here with a lack of affordable housing units. In response, DeSantis says his budget has put money into a fund that helps first-time homebuyers. He says he's also increased pay for many public sector workers. We're increasing teacher pay again, doing $1,000 bonuses for teachers, principals, cops, and firefighters. Increasing salaries for state law enforcement by 25%. Smith also says the county could use tourist development tax dollars to build more affordable housing. People in Orlando say they back the move. Something needs to be done about the high rents. Yeah, so using tax dollars once again to build affordable housing. The best way to make sure housing is affordable is to make sure that private developers have as little bureaucracy as possible, to make it, inexpensive to build this housing. That's the truth, in my opinion, okay? That's the reason why housing is so expensive in California. Government bureaucracy standing in the way of developers building. Okay. Well, it's going higher and higher every month, said Andres Martinez. This year is crazy compared to last year. Excessive increases at this point in time, I don't think they're going to work, agreed Andrew Lamoth. State legislators are calling on the governor to cap rent increases at 10% and make that retroactive for the last 12 months. So yeah, there's the kicker right there, okay? These state legislators are asking the governor to cap rent increases at 10%. Now, what do they call it when the government is capping how much rent can be increased? They call that rent control, okay? So this is their way of asking for rent control. Oh, we're capping increase. No, that's rent control. If you're controlling how much the landlord can charge for rent, then that is rent control, period. Okay, don't try to confuse us by, changing the wording or changing the terminology you're using. All you're doing is you're throwing out a rent control proposal. And, these state legislators, they know it. They might be able to fool someone else, but, landlords, we're not fools. We recognize this immediately as a problem. So, if I'm what I will say is that if you're a property owner in Florida right now, work hard, petition against this. Make sure that this doesn't go any further than it already has, okay? You have a great governor down there in Florida. I don't think that he would be on board with this. I don't think that the majority of the state would be on board with this. But, this is coming. Okay, these are the kind of things that we expect to be seeing. Don't be surprised when you see other things like good cause eviction laws being proposed and a lot more anti-landlord legislation being proposed, and some of it might actually go through. I mean, I've seen anti-landlord stuff pass here in Nebraska even, and I was surprised to see it. So yeah, interesting stuff happening down there in Florida. Let's hope that all this is just a letter for now, and that rent control never ever actually occurs.